What's going on, everybody? Josh Engleman for Awesemo.com, and I am back with my NBA DFS contenders on DraftKings for Wednesday, June 30th. Now be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all of our other content goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. It's the only place you'll find updates to my sim results as we get closer to lock. And finally, let me know in the comment section who is your favorite and least favorite of my contenders for today's slate. We're rounding out the bottom of my top 10 with Terrence Mann, Mikal Bridges, Pat Bev, Nick Batum, and DeAndre Ayton on the outside looking in. Who will be my favorites, my top 5 plays for today? It's time to find out. First up at number 5, we're going to 4K Marcus Morris. I've got him projected for 24 fantasy points, 5% likelihood of being the optimal captain, 51% at the flex, and a 55% likelihood of just simply being in the optimal lineup. We saw Morris go nuts in the last game. I've got him in for 34 minutes here, but it looks like he can play a little bit more. 0.7 fantasy points per minute, but if he's shooting the lights out like he did in the previous game, it's going to be a good time for you at 4K. I only have him at 17% usage because Paul George is going to soak up a lot of it, but 13 points, 5 boards, 1.5 assists, basically a stock. If he gets that matchup with Devin Booker on him off of a switch, he's going to have a very good day. They had to start throwing double teams at him because Booker wasn't able to handle it. I think they go back to it again here for Morris. We'll just see what the changes are going to be. But if Morris is able to play big minutes, whether he's hitting turnarounds over Devin Booker or not, a 4K price tag for 34 minutes is a no-brainer. Taking a bit of a step up for number 4, $8,200 Reggie Jackson, projected for 37. He's got a 17% chance of being the optimal captain, 46% at the flex. 63% of the time he is in the optimal lineup. I think Reggie Jackson's playing 39 minutes today. 0.96 fantasy points per minute, 23% usage, 21 real points, 5 assists, 4 boards. I mean, he's doing a lot out there as the second best option behind Paul George. You might even get a steal, honestly. But 8,200 is just not that difficult of a price tag to want to get to, as evidenced by the fact that 17% of the time, almost 1 in 5 chances here that he's the optimal captain. I was very heavy on Reggie Jackson in the previous game. The ownership didn't appear to be there. I'm not expecting it to be there again, and I'm going to be heavy once again on Reggie Jackson. Next up at number 3, I'm spending up a little bit more, going to $10,200 Devin Booker. He's projected for 42, optimal captain 12% of the time, optimal flex 53, which means 66% of the time he's in the optimal lineup. I got him playing 40 minutes, but I think 42 is super reasonable here. 1.05 fantasy points per minute. And then you know what you're getting out of Devin Booker. It's got to be a healthy amount of scoring. Just shy of 28 points, just shy of 5 points and 5 assists. And I said points for some reason. 5 rebounds, that is. 28, 5, and 5 is what we're looking for out of Booker. You need the shot to start falling. And it's got to happen eventually. Mask, no mask, I don't really care. Devin Booker is too good for this series to just be as quiet as he has been. I think he goes for north of 30 here. 10,200 is a very easy price tag to get to. There's enough value out there that it's not much of a problem. The slow pace of this game concerns me a little bit, but it's not like I could go to a different game. This is single game stuff at this time now, guys. So got to deal with what we have. And Devin Booker's ceiling is way too high to get away from. He's number 3. There are 2 guys that are better. They should be pretty obvious right now, but I'm still getting to Devin Booker a lot. And by a nose, Chris Paul at number 2 edges out Devin Booker. He's 9,600, projected for 40, optimal captain 7% of the time, but because of the price, optimal flex 60% of the time, beats out Booker by 1%. I have Paul in for 38 minutes, 1.05 fantasy points per minute, and you get a very different outcome from Paul than you do for Booker. 17 points, 9 assists, 5 boards, 2 stocks. Chris Paul has a much higher floor than Devin Booker. Obviously, Devin Booker with a bigger ceiling. I don't think that that's all that surprising. For 9,600, the fact that you get a little bit of savings makes Chris Paul fit perfectly in the flex. I'm guessing he'll be owned right around that 7 to 10% range at the captain spot in bigger contests. I'm not all that enamored with Paul in the captain, but I think he fits perfectly in most lineups as a flex option. Now, before we get to that number 1 contender, one last reminder, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Then head on over to Twitter and follow me at Josh Engleman. It's the only place you're going to get updates to my sim results as we get closer to lock. And finally, comment section underneath this video. I need your favorite contender, your least favorite contender, and the guy that you thought should be on this list that you didn't see. Closing it out with the no-brainer number one contender for today. That's 12K Paul George. Projected for 55 fantasy points. He's the optimal captain 40% of the time. Optimal in the flex 44% of the time. 84% likelihood of being in the optimal. He's not even on the same planet as everybody else because he just doesn't have the same sort of competition as everybody else. 42 minutes to try and save their season. 1.3 plus fantasy points per minute, 31 real points, 8.5 boards, 6 assists, and 2 stocks. He's doing it all for the Clippers. If this game stays competitive, it is likely because Paul George is having another big game. But honestly, at 12K, with him being the captain of the ship, the guy that has to do all of it for the Clippers, there's not really any way around it. Paul George is the unquestioned number one play for today. Alrighty, folks, that will do it. Those are my NBA DFS contenders on DraftKings for Wednesday, June 30th. FanDuel version of this video is around here somewhere. 10 a.m. Me, Laffy, breaking it all down on the strategy show. You do not want to miss it. And then he and I are back again tonight for Live Before Lock. It's going to be a good one. Keep your eyes peeled for my updates later tonight on Twitter. And good luck, everybody. I will see you again tomorrow morning for another edition of the Contenders.